good evening and welcome to another Crest Autosport and Next Gen Racing Euro TCR race. This time coming for you here from Hungaroring. Unfortunately, Hungary had very unfortunate results in the Euros this afternoon, but at least they'll be cheered up with some great racing here at the Hungaroring. Welcome to the Crest Autosport Next Gen Racing Euro TCR Championship, featuring all of RaceRoom's TCR categories available to the drivers, and the race is brought to you by our sponsors and partners of Crest Autosport, Lovely Stickers, Track Racer, 603 Autosport, and of Next Gen Racing, Powermax Racing, Fastar and Joyce Design. Today we are at Budapest, the Hungaroring, and the Magyarország region of Hungary. This Grand Prix layout of the circuit, 2.7 miles long and 4.3 kilometers long. The layout of the circuit has changed very little over the years, but has withstood as one of Formula One's most popular and most coveted tracks. Over the years it has hosted the Race of Hungary, which started off the season in quite a few of the World Touring Car Championship races over the years since 2011, and of course Norbert Michelitz, very popular World Touring Car driver and championship winner in 2019. And this track on RaceRoom will cost you only £4.29 to buy, has 14 turns officially, 4 to the right and 6 to the left. This is round 5 of our 12-round tour of Europe, visiting 12 different countries on this calendar. Portimao was all there weeks ago in May for the opening round of the championship, nearly a month ago now. Aragon was next for the Spanish round of the championship. Paul Ricard followed for the French round of round 3. Italy was next for round 4 at Imola. The Hungaroring is today for round 5. Next week we're in the Czech Republic, or Czechia as it is referred to nowadays, and rumour has it we might be changing the track next week, all because Brno has been introduced, but it's going to be up to the committee at Crest Autosport and Next Gen Racing to decide which track we visit, whether it's going to be Autodrome Most as scheduled, or we'll move on to Autodrome Brno because it's a new track to RaceRoom. We'll have a week off after round 6 next week, but then we'll be back in early July, 2 days before my birthday, for my home round, Silverstone, and the Grand Prix circuit will be round 7. Round 8 will be the Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium. Round 9 will be in the Netherlands for Zandvoort. Then we head north to Scandinavia for the Scandinavian Raceway, otherwise known as Anderstorp, for round 10. Round 11, the penultimate round, will be at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, to introduce us into August, and then on the 10th of August will be the final round at the Hockenheim Ring in Deutschland, Germany. These are the cars the drivers can race in. With +1, there's 10 manufacturers here, but there are 11 up for grabs. The Opel Astra is included in this roster, but we're not seeing it in the field because no one's driving it. But we will see plenty of these manufacturers, including the Audi RS3, the Alfa Romeo Giulietta, the Honda Civic, the Lincoln Co. 03, the Renault Megane, the Volkswagen Golf, the Hyundai i30N. We won't see the Peugeot 308, sadly. We will see the Cupra TCR, and we won't sadly see the Russian vehicle of Lada Vesta. And of course, as we mentioned, the Opel Astra is up for grabs for those who want to drive it in this series. Entries are still available for this series. You can take part in the remainder of the season if you wish to. Just go on to Crest Autosport RaceRoom Leagues on Facebook or Next Gen Racing on Facebook. You'll find the groups to get involved in the league, or head over to crestautosport.com to find out more information about this league and to get entered. Tonight's itinerary is as follows. We've got qualifying coming up in just over 5 minutes time, which will be 15 minutes in length, and it will set the grid for race 1 of the night, which will be a 15-minute race, followed immediately by another 15-minute race where the grid will be based on the race 1 results, but the top 8 will be reversed. So if you finish 8th in race 1, you'll start pole for race 2. Race 3 will follow after a brief intermission, but the grid for race 3 will be formed by the race 2 results, but the top 15 of those results will be reversed. So like we just mentioned before, but if you finish 15th in race 2, you will start pole position for race 3. So track position is key throughout these races, not only for points, but for grid position for the following races. We join the live action here at the Hungaroring with 7.5 minutes remaining, not 5 minutes. We are running a little bit over and a little bit late on the server today, but all the drivers getting plenty of practice out on the track. All 18 drivers in the server at the moment, 14 have set laps at the moment, but top of the standings, no surprises, no surprise, it's Ayman Aqeem. And you'll find out why that's no surprise if you're new to the stream very, very shortly. But leading our championship at the moment is Ayman Aqeem, and he's followed in second place by Alexander Jacobsen in the number 34 Renault there. He had a very good qualifying session in Imola a week ago, so he's hoping for a repeat of that qualifying session this week, but the actual racing for himself didn't go particularly to plan last week, so he'd be looking for a bit of redemption as well. But we were just talking about championship leaders and championships and winning races and no surprises. So let's give you the reason why. We'll first go through the results of last week's round at Imola to remind you what happened. Unfortunately, can't see the standings right now. Just update that rather quickly. There we go. Accidentally deleted it, so I'll have to get that, go and find that for you and then bring it back. And a bit of a rejig of all my files, so there's a few things missing here and there. There we go. We have got last week's results on screen for you. So, last week at Imola, it was another three-peat for Murasaki Tadashi, otherwise known as in this server as Ayman Aqeem. The Malaysian driver leading our championship at the moment took qualifying and all 3 race wins. A fantastic performance from him yet again. Lee Horn did very well in qualifying and race 2 and race 1 and race 2 to get podium positions. But sadly, race 3 didn't go so well for him. Jonas Lienberg had another good night as well, finishing second in race 3 and third in race 1. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen got second place for him, his best result ever in the Crest Autosport RaceRoom League's history, so a good result for him. And Ian Deeney battling for the lead towards the end of race 3, but managed to get third in the end. A good performance from him. And the championship standings coming into tonight. It is a commanding lead for Murasaki Tadashi, aka Ayman Aqeem, at the moment on 420 points. He is followed a little bit further behind by about 24 points by Jonas Lienberg. Most points you can score in the top 10 region are only separated by 2 points, so it's going to take quite some bad luck from Ayman Aqeem and good luck from Jonas Lienberg to catch that back up. But there's a long way to go in the season. Plenty to happen. Lee Horn is in third place with 373 points. Stefan Heike Navalov has been very quiet in the results, but very consistently getting top 10s throughout much of the season. If I just count how many top 3s he's had 3 top 3s, and he's only finished outside of the top 10 once this season, which is actually better than that of the championship leader Ayman Aqeem, who has had a DNF in this season, and he still managed to lead the championship, so it's some going from him. Ole Janssen in 5th place, another driver who's been relatively quiet, but very, very consistent. He's in 5th there. Jeff Perkis in 6th position with Ian Deeney in 7th. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen, who had a good night at Imola, he's in 8th. Roy Plummer 9th, and Jonas Carbeed in 10th position. And something to bear in mind with the top 10 in the championship. The top 10 in the championship also determines what ballast you carry for the races on race night. So this will be ballast the drivers carry for qualifying, race 1 and race 2. So Ayman Aqeem, championship leader, therefore he will carry 40 kilos of ballast. Jonas Lienberg second in championship, therefore he'll carry 36. It runs down in increments of 4 down to 10th place. The ballast will reset for race 3, where ballast is based on the qualifying results. So the fastest man or woman on the track in qualifying coming up in a few minutes time will carry X amount of ballast for race 3, which is a 25-minute race, as we remind you, mentioned earlier on. And that's pretty much all of the housekeeping done and dusted, and we can take a look at what's going on in the session. Let's see how the drivers are performing. So first in the championship, Ayman Aqeem. No surprises, he's at the top, but not by much ahead of Alexander Jacobsen in the Renault, as we mentioned earlier. Just 2/10 down, no ballast on that car, on the Renault, as we see Lee Horn take a brief excursion at turn 4 there. Again, Navalov in 3rd place. He has qualified well this season, qualified in 6th, 4th, 10th and 5th, so pretty good qualifying results for him so far. This would be his best if this was to carry over to qualifying. Jonas Lienberg 2nd in the championship. He'll want better out of himself, as his championship rival is a further 3 positions ahead of him, as will Lee Horn in 5th place. 3rd in the championship, 5th in the standings right now. He'll want better, being nearly half a second down from his championship rival. And not too long left in the practice session, and we'll get underway very, very shortly with the racing tonight. So a little bit about the Hungaroring circuit. Let's take a lap on board with Jonas Lienberg. In fact, we'll get rid of the standings so we can watch his arms and hands and feet at play, although you can't see the feet actions. It's a tight round turn 2 there. As we go into the 90-degree right-hander of turn 3, all the way across the curve there in a flat-out corner. A slight deviation to the right as we introduce turn 4 here. Not quite flat out, take plenty of the curve here. Don't go out too wide there as we come into the heavy braking of turn 5. The corner just keeps going on and on and on. Hard down, turning right in that Hyundai i30N from Jonas Lienberg there. Into the infamous chicane. Turn 6 here and into turn 7. Taking plenty of the curve as he goes through the corner. Turn 8 here. And turn 9, very similar corners here. You can lose a lot of time in this sector by going a bit too fast through the corner or a bit too slow through the corner and running a bit too wide, as he aborts his lap. So we're not able to see the rest of the lap from Jonas Lienberg's point of view, unfortunately, but we'll get another live lap from another driver, or maybe even Jonas, when qualifying comes around in 20 seconds time. As we mentioned tonight, the itinerary is qualifying of 15 minutes, which will set the grid for race 1, which is 15 minutes, and race 2 will follow immediately with another 15-minute race. We'll have a brief excursion between races 2 and 3 to set up the new server for the new race, but race 3 will be a 25-minute race. So we're about to get into qualifying. As we set into the new session now, 15 minutes underway for these drivers, and they rush out onto the circuit. First out in the 22 car there is Fraser Rostance, looking to get out there. Now the thing is with this track, a lot of corners, downforce is crucial here, unlike what it was at Imola, Paul Ricard, Portimao and Aragon just gone by. So this is a relatively different track to what we're used to so far this season. So a little bit of a different setup strategy for some of these drivers, and you'll probably find that this track will suit certain cars more than it has other tracks this season. So we see Fraser Rostance come through the first sector of the track. He's followed by the number 88 machine of Jonas Lienberg. Behind him is his teammate Alexander Jacobsen. Further back there, I believe that's Ayman Aqeem. On his own at the moment, just in front of the number 69 car there of Ayman Aqeem. He's followed by the yellow DHL Audi of Lee Horn, co-host of this league alongside me. 3rd in the championship. Back there, I believe that is, I thought it was Anastasios Georgiadis, but it's not. He's coming through sector 1 now. And let's jump back towards the front. Fraser Rostance first of the gang. So in fact, we'll get a live lap with Fraser Rostance. No particular reason as to why it's him, just because he's at the front. So we'll get clean air in front of him. Opting not to follow any drivers and try and get slipstream, which can probably help a little bit on this track. A few short bursts out of the corners might get you a few hundredths, tenths even. Straights, you won't be able to get up to top speed on this track, so that's why draft is not as effective here as it is on other circuits, but it certainly still will help. So we go into the cockpit on board with Fraser Rostons as we come down the main straight here. Pit lane to our right and the grandstands to the left. The Hungarian fans not necessarily in misery over the result earlier in the Euros, but they're enjoying the racing right now at the Hungaroring. Through turn one we go with Fraser Rostons, one of the slowest corners on the circuit. Now a slight descent down the hill as we go braking into the long left-hander of turn two here, keeping it very tight on the entrance there, riding the curve even. And don't go too far out to the right as you want to enter turn three as good as possible. He could have hit a bit more curve there, could Fraser, but let's see how he gets on for the rest of the lap. Takes plenty of curb on the right here. The rear end steps out as he touched the grass there on the right, and that'll be an aborted lap already for Fraser Rostons. We'll stay with him. Oh, a really raggedy lap at the moment. Still trying to warm up the tyres, I reckon, and also a bit of dirt on those right tyres, probably not helping for that corner as he comes through the chicane now. Into turn 8. Plenty of that curve, and then turn 9. Really hoisting the car well onto these curves through this middle sector. That is exactly what you want to do in this sector to get a good lap time as we come into the final section of the track here. This corner down here is where Max Verstappen went wide last year in the Formula 1 and broke his front left track rod arm. Fraser Rostons definitely doesn't do that. Goes to the corner very nicely, and he'll be warming up ready for a quick blast lap as he ends this aborted invalid lap. And through turn 14, a very, very long right-hander. If you had to describe Hungaroring with one corner, it would probably be that corner and the corner before turn 13 and turn 2, as they're both very long hairpins. That's the nature of Hungaroring, and thank you for Fraser Rostons for taking us on a lap of the circuit. Now on the standings, Jonas Lienberg goes top of the standings at the moment with Ayman Aqeem taking provisional pole at the moment. No surprises there on a 53.0. Lee Horn on a 53.3, better than his practice lap in fact, I think. So not bad from him as he's following Heike Navalov there. Aborts this lap. Ian Deeney has just put himself into 4th place with Jeff Perkis in 5th. Ollie Jansen goes into 6th at the moment. That looks like it's Mark Arrowsmith there, puts himself 8th at the moment with Roy Plummer in the Lincoln Co. Number 12 Machine in 9th. Back there, that is Stephen de Gravelia. Missed last week, so welcome back to him. And behind him, Anastasios Georgiadis. Both those drivers set invalid lap times, but someone who didn't set an invalid lap time is Jonas Karbid there, who had Jürgen Madsby Pedersen right behind him, slots himself into 6th place. And Jürgen overtaking Jonas Karbid there. Might have compromised both of their laps a little bit there, as two drivers are already reset to the pit. So that's Heike Navalov and Stephen de Gravelia. But we look to Fraser Rostons. He'll try and complete a valid lap time this time. So far so good for the British driver. NXTGEN Racing, not too far off the time of Ayman Aqeem. Let's see how he gets on in Sector 3 here. Lots of drivers resetting to the pits already. Tyre wear is a bit of an issue on this circuit. It's quite a long track with lots of really demanding corners. We mentioned turns 2, 13 and 14. Very long hairpins, which means it's very demanding on the tyres. Camber settings will be of the essence on this track, but Fraser Rostons with the fastest lap of the session so far. Pips Ayman Aqeem to pole position provisionally, but only by 6,000ths of a second. Alexander Jakobsen, who was 2nd in practice, goes 3rd at the moment, 2/10 down from the top spot sitter Fraser Rostons. He'll go for another lap. You can run quite wide at turn 1, I have noticed there, so a lot of drivers utilising that space. Ayman Aqeem has reset to the pit, so he'll come out to do more laps. Ian Deeney has just put himself up a few positions to 5th. And cross the line back there is Ollie Jansen. Will he put himself high? No, he won't. He stays 10th. Mark Arrowsmith does not improve, stays 12th. Back here, I think that's Roy Plummer. Crosses the line in 14th at the moment, and Anastasios Georgiadis puts himself 13th. Got Ayman Aqeem there on the inside letting drivers by, which is very noble indeed, so he can get some clean air and allow drivers to carry on and set good lap times if they wish to. on in 4th place at the moment, didn't improve his time from previous, but he's on another lap here. Personal best in Sector 1, which is what green suggests, and purple suggests fastest outright. Comes through Sector 2 here, finishes Sector 2 real close to Fraser Roston's time, half a tenth down, so we'll see how he gets on for the remainder of the lap. Pulling over to let him by there was Stephen de Grivelia. Hopefully I didn't distract Lee Horn too much. Co-host of this league. Co-host or not a co-host, hoping to do well nonetheless. He is an ex-NXTGEN Racing RaceRoom champion. Twice he's been a champion, and I believe it was seasons 16 and 17. As he comes around the final corner and will complete another lap here at the Hungaroring. We're about halfway through the session. He puts himself 3rd place and a 10th off of Fraser Roston, so he'll be pleased that the time is close between them, but he'll definitely want better than that in terms of grid position. All but one driver have set times in the server. Stephen de Grivelia is a driver who hasn't yet. Oh, but Ian Deeney surprises us all. He's been very quiet in qualifying this season, but goes quickest at the moment with a 1:52.8. Now, one thing to mention, that Alfa Romeo does love the corners. It can rotate so well, and on this track, that'll help that Alfa Romeo, and Ian Deeney is really utilising that right now. A 10.5 clear of Fraser Roston and Ayman Aqeem at the moment. Put himself provisional pole for the time being. Talking about provisional pole, Ayman Aqeem has been pole position in 3 of the 4 rounds so far this season. Jonas Lienberg was pole at Paul Ricard, but Portimao, Aragon and last week at Imola, Ayman Aqeem was top of the pops. Will we see another driver take it to the top this time around? We'll see. Ian Deeney real close to his first second time on his 2nd lap around at this qualifying stint. Very colourful Alfa Romeo there as Jeff Perkins pulls over to the side to let through Ian Deeney, and he did in fact compromise Ian Deeney's lap, so he'll have to try again. Ayman Aqeem goes outright quickest in Sector 1. Oh, and he didn't hit that curve quite enough on the chicane there. That wasn't an ideal run through the chicane. We'll have to see if he can make it up on the other corners here in Sector 2. But 3rd at the moment for Ayman Aqeem, as he's a few thousandths down from Fraser Roston, but a few tenths down from Ian Deeney. He did slow him down quite a bit in Sector 2, but he's still on for a pretty decent time. If he can get Sector 3 all well, he'll put himself back to the top of the standings. Let's see how he gets on. 2 corners to go. Turn 13 next, the long left-hander. Keep it nice and tight on the apex there. And then turn 14. Lots of different ways you can take this corner. He takes the wide route and the late apex, getting plenty of that car on the curb on the exit of the corner. Ayman Aqeem, will he take pole position here? No, he won't. Oh, yes, he will. Sorry, yes, he will. It's a 52.7, and he's more than a 10th clear of Ian Deeney. That will take some beating for these drivers. We switch to Jonas Lienberg as he's gone personal best in Sector 1, but nothing that's going to threaten Ayman Aqeem just yet. Let's see how Ian Deeney is getting along. Not a great Sector 1, unfortunately, but he might be able to hook up a good Sector 2. The Audi's going all right here with 3rd and 4th at the moment, and 7th for that matter. Oh, and Fraser Roston goes quicker, but not quicker than Ayman Aqeem. Puts himself back into 2nd position, but a 10th down for Ayman. So Ian Deeney, in the space of a minute, has dropped down the qualifying order. And he has another car in his way in Sector 2 there. Jeff Perkins on the previous lap and Anastasios Georgiadis on that lap there. The thing is, it's such a narrow track, it's so difficult to get out of the way of other drivers. Okay, now have a look. No, sorry, Jakobsen, or someone else has just put himself into the mid-pack. Jakobsen has gone outright best in Sector 1. 6th at the moment. He might be able to get himself into the top of the tier here. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen puts himself 8th at the moment. Very good qualifying performance last time out at Imola for Jürgen. 6th on the grid. A little bit, a few positions further down this time around. but see what he can do for the remainder of this session with 3 minutes to go. So this would be the critical point where drivers in the pits, including Ian Deeney and Jonas Lienberg, will not be able to set another lap time, because once that timer expires, that's it. Qualifying is over. You cannot complete a lap, and if you started a lap, you will not be allowed to finish it. So that's Ian Deeney and Jonas Lienberg done for qualifying. Ayman Aqeem is still out there and sets another time and goes even quicker, 52.6. So stretches that qualifying lead over Fraser Rostons by another couple of hundredths to be out of reach by 0.2 from Rostons, Deeney and Horn. What can Horn do? He's got enough time to set another lap time, but slower in sector 1. That might be it for Lee Horn. It'd be very difficult for him to claw that back. Fraser Rostons comes around the final corner. He'll complete this lap and you'll get time to do another lap. Well down from Ayman Aqeem on that lap. 3/4 of a second down, and in fact someone has just jumped up the order. I think it was Alexander Jakobsen, I think so. Someone has just jumped up in the mid-pack. It was Heike Navalov. He jumps himself into 7th place ahead of Jeff Perkis. 8th place, remember, is an important place to be, as it determines reverse grid pole for race 2 if you finish 8th in race 1. Ayman Aqeem has reset to the pits. Fraser Rostons will go on and he will try to beat Ayman Aqeem. He's the only one who probably can at this point. Slower in sector 1. Let's just keep an eye on Alexander Jakobsen, who's done actually pretty well in sector 1, but he needs to do quite well in sector 2 as he takes turn 8 way too quickly, and that will abort his time. That is Jakobsen's bid for P1 done. It's all down to Fraser Rostons, otherwise it is a 4th pole position for Ayman Aqeem. Comes around sector 2, slower in sector 2, so that will probably be it. That's probably settled Ayman Aqeem for pole position here at the Hungaroring. Another impressive performance potentially on the cards from the Malaysian driver. Watch Fraser Rostons complete the lap anyway. This is probably just practice too, Fraser, as he runs very wide at turn 14 there, takes a late exit, but still on the front row of the grid is Fraser, a race winner this season. In fact, was a race winner back at Paul Ricard for race 3. He missed last week at Imola, but there are drop rounds in this championship, 2 up for grabs. There are classified qualifying results here at the Hungaroring. It is 4 from 5 for Ayman Aqeem on the top step, on the front row, the front slot of qualifying on the grid. Fraser Rostons takes 2nd on the grid, with Ian Deeney 3rd, Lee Horn in 4th. Jonas Lienberg will take 5th with Alexander Jakobsen in 6th. And Heike Navalov in 7th. We'll get those results back up on the screen for you very quickly, very shortly. That's just what RaceRoom does to us. It gives us the results very late and doesn't give it to us for very long. That's just what RaceRoom does, unfortunately. So there we go. Jeff Perkis takes 8th position, a crucial place to be in at the end of race 1. So we'll see who gets that at the end of the race. Jürgen Masby Pedersen in 9th with Alexander Foyle in 10th. Mark Arrowsmith in 11th with Ollie Hansen in 12th. Anastasios Georgiadis in 13th with Alex Ward taking 14th. 15th goes to Roy Plummer with Stephen Gravelia in 16th. Eunice Carbide in 17th with Gabriel Lopez in 18th. That was qualifying, done and dusted. And we have a 2-minute warm-up before we get underway for race 1 of the night. Round 5, Crest Autosport. RaceRoom Leagues and Alliance with NXTGEN Racing. So a little more housekeeping before we carry on. We do have a few discount codes you can use for certain products and companies in the description of all these videos, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube or Twitch. If you check out the description of this video, you will find a discount code for Lovely Stickers, who do stickers basically for your sim racing hardware, wheel rims and bases and even your rigs. So Lovely Stickers will provide that for you. You can get a 10% discount off their products if you use the promo code CRESTLS10 at checkout via www.lovelystickers.com. You will receive a 10% discount off any product on their website. You can also use the promo code CREST, that's just Crest on its own, to receive a 5% discount off any Track Racer product. Track Racer do sim racing gear such as rigs, seats and frames, monitor stands, all the like, basically to get yourself on the next step on sim racing if you take it quite seriously, like most of us do, and you enjoy it as a hobby but also an expensive hobby. And Track Racer is definitely the place to go for not expensive gear but very good gear for good bang for buck. Very strong equipment too. So yeah, head to trackracer.com and use the code CREST to get 5% off any Track Racer product. But we head back to the racing as we're gridding up, ready for the next race of the night. The first race of the night. So here we go. This is the Crest Autosport RaceRoom Leagues in alliance with NXTGEN Racing. Euro TCR League. This is our 5th round and we're in Hungary. We're on the grid, everyone's gridded up, the lights are red. Ayman Aqeem starts on pole position, lights are red. Away we go. A good start for Ayman Aqeem potentially. Let's jump on board with someone in the cars to get a better view of the drivers going down towards turn 1. It looks like a pretty much level fight. Alfa Romeo's coming down to turn 1. Fraser Rostons dives towards the inside of Ayman Aqeem, and getting loose there is the Renault of Alexander Jakobsen. He gets back on the grass to avoid everyone. A bit of argy-bargy coming through turn 1 there, but everyone makes it through fairly safe and sound. Ayman Aqeem leads away from Fraser Rostons and Ian Deeney in 3rd place. Round turn 2 we go. Is still Rostons out there in 2nd place. Back there's a good battle between Navalov and Arrowsmith. Arrowsmith has jumped up a few places already to 7th place from 11th on the grid. A good start for him. Alexander Foyle on the inside of Jeff Perkis in the Lincoln Co there. Gets through, but Jeff Perkis hanging it on the inside to try and get it back up the inside of Alex Foyle. Couldn't quite make it. That's Mark Arrowsmith in the Honda. A very good start for him. 7th place. And look at that, Jeff Perkis taking a lunge towards Alex Foyle, but Alex Foyle is able to cover it off. A fair few slowdowns so far in this race. One going particularly to Jonas Lienberg, 2nd in the championship coming into tonight. Chase cam is still doing it. I wish the guys who made this R3E reality program would sort that out. Alex Foyle going very wide coming out of turn 11 there. Oh, and a big lunge up the inside from Jürgen Mansby Pedersen on Jonas Lienberg there, but didn't quite make it. Coming into turn 13 we go. He's not going to put up the inside there, but Lee Horn threatening 3rd place from Ian Deeney now. Deeney's having a very good middle part of the season so far as he just sneaks up the inside of Fraser Rostons, who went wide there. Ian Deeney finds himself in 2nd place, but at the end of lap 1, leading away by 1.5 seconds already, it's Ayman Aqeem. Alfa Romeo 1-2 at the moment. Ian Deeney not specifically teammates with Ayman Aqeem, but 2nd of the Alfa Romeos. And look at that, that's Lee Horn trying the outside of Fraser Rostons. And Ian Deeney might have made it because he'll get the inside for the next corner going into turn 2. Brilliant move from Lee Horn round the outside of Fraser Rostons, and Ian Deeney is defending hard already early on in this race. Bit of contact from Fraser Rostons on Lee Horn coming around turn 2 there, but he hangs on to 3rd place at the moment. But all this battling and squabbling is allowing Ayman Aqeem to just break away in the 31 Alpha there in front of this pack. Through turn 4 they go. Oh, Fraser Rostons getting very, very sideways coming around turn 4 there, but keeps it going nonetheless. Chase cam, we love you. On board with Jonas Lienberg as it wanted us to, but it decided to go with the chase cam. Fraser Rostons going very, very wide there, but managed to keep going. He's lost a little bit of ground from Lee Horn. Lee Horn will be looking to re-energise his championship bid by trying to get up towards Ayman Aqeem, particularly in the later races of the night. We saw Fraser Roston's going very, very wide there. He'll have to serve the race, the slowdown offline, which he does. And that allows Jonas Lienberg to get through. Fraser Roston has served the slowdown. Oh, and a slowdown penalty for Ayman Aqeem, but that's not really going to threaten him too much. You can burn that off under the braking zones, but Fraser Roston's, he had to go off the racing line because he was in front of another driver. Not a good start to this race so far for Fraser. Started second, dropped to 5th in 2 laps so far. Let's see if he can get himself going for the remainder of the race. I'm going to say it again. Mark Arrowsmith with a very good start to this race. Started 11th, he's up to 8th. Alex Ward's having a good start as well. He's up a fair few positions to 11th, looking to get up towards that 8th position, which will see reverse grid pole for the next race. Lee Horn very close to Ian Dean, and Fraser Rostons has lost another position to Jürgen Mansby Pedersen. Jürgen is through into the top 5 as he did in Imola last week. Fraser is a sitting duck at the moment. Seems like he had a good qualifying setup, but the race setup is not quite up to scratch. Horn is alongside Ian Deeney, coming into turn 4, had to back out of it, but will try the undercut. He'll try the outside for the next corner. Brilliant move from Lee Horn yet again. He's on fire tonight when it comes to overtaking. 2 seconds behind Ayman Aqeem. Will he be able to get his head down and catch up? Brilliant show so far from the co-host. Navalov real close to Fraser Rostons. He'll be another one who'll be trying to pick off Fraser Rostons. Mark Arrowsmith with a slowdown penalty there. Well, he might be trying to serve that on the racing line there, which you're not allowed to do in this series. He has to be very careful about that. Holding up Ollie Jansen and Jack Purkis there. And curiously, he's driving a car with the Hungarian flag on. So, kind of a homecoming for Mark Arrowsmith, despite him being British. Rostons, 6th place at the moment. Dropped to that from 2nd in the last 3 laps. It's been the greatest of starts for him. But at the end of lap 3, it's still the lead held by Ayman Aqeem. Lee Horn has had a pretty good lap since passing Ian Deeney. Has gained a 10th or 2 on Ayman Aqeem on that lap. Hasn't quite broken away from Ian Deeney yet. Ian Deeney, as I mentioned, is having a real good mid-part of the season. He got 3 top 5s at Paul Ricard, and he got 3rd place in race 3 at Imola last week. Chase cam. Honestly, I can't have it. Oh, it's Mark Arrowsmith, brakes way too late, and that's Jeff Purkis on his outside, and Alex Foyle on his inside. And he managed to get back through into 8th place, hangs on to it just about. Big battle between these drivers coming up the hill here into turn 4 they go. Arrowsmith hangs on to 8th at the moment. Jeff Purkis going to try the inside but can't quite make it. The Honda hangs on to it at the moment, and joining the party back there is Alexander Jakobsen, and Alex Ward is gaining on this pack as well. Slow down penalty for Lee Horn. It's not what he wants when he's trying to gain on Ayman Aqeem. Purkis taking turn 8 a little bit deeply there, but hangs on to it, trying lots of different scenarios, lots of different lines to try and get the better of the driver ahead, which is Mark Arrowsmith in the Honda. They're dropping back a little bit from the pack ahead, and wide there goes Alex Foyle. That's the 2nd time I've seen him do that. He needs to be careful about the repeat penalties, because RaceRoom will give you a bigger penalty for repeat offences. Coming into turn 13. Let's get back towards the front. Deeney's still fairly close to Lee Horn, who's dropped back by a 10th or 2 on this lap from Ayman Aqeem. Arrowsmith drops back behind Jeff Purkis. Unfortunately, we missed that looking at Lee Horn. We're not able to get replays on RaceRoom, unfortunately. Rather annoying. A bit like the chase cam. But Mark Arrowsmith not going to give up. Oh, big lunge to the inside going into turn 1. Excellent move from Mark Arrowsmith if he can keep it. Good undercut from Jeff Purkis. Gets it back right away. And we've also got Alexander Jakobsen to the outside. Tried the undercut on turn 1. and is on the outside for turn 2, which is probably not the better line to be on, but a little nudge of the rear of Alex Fall, who comes back to defend it. And we've also got Mark Arrowsmith not giving up on Jeff Perkins, trying to get it back into 8th place with 6.5 minutes remaining in this session. Into turn 4. Remember, 8th position is real crucial as it gets you reverse grid pole. Mark Arrowsmith, that'll be a big breakthrough for him. He was doing very well in race 1 at Imola and got, well, I'll say it is binned off by another driver and fell down the order, but race 2 and race 3 had a good comeback. It was a very, very big improvement we saw from Mark Arrowsmith last week. We're seeing glimpses of that today already. Deeney's still real close to Lee Horn. He's not letting him get away by any stretch of the imagination. 3rd place for him at the moment is where he qualified. So he lost to Fraser Rostons, but lost to Lee Horn, but has gained it from Fraser Rostons, who's down in 6th place. We see Navalov all over the rear of Rostons, who's losing touch from the pack ahead, tailed by Jürgen Madsby Pedersen. And back here we've got a battle between Ollie Jansen and Stephen de Grevelia. Big late entry to the corner from de Grevelia, but he's able to hang on to that inside just about. Let's get a bit further up. We've got Alex Fall right behind Mark Arrowsmith, who's lost the tail from Jeff Perkins, flashing his lights ahead. Not sure what that's going to achieve, being that far back, but Alex Fall, a big lunge to the inside, breaks way too late. Arrowsmith will be able to get the undercut. Oh, and a bit of contact coming out of the corner, just to make sure that he got by Alex Fall, but he stays 10th at the moment, just not hooking up today. He had a good meeting at Imola, did Alex Fall, as we see Jonas Lienberg get by Jürgen Madsby Pedersen there for 4th. Well, no, they were battling for 4th position. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen has caught up to Jonas, did briefly get past, but Jonas was able to get back past. So Jürgen Madsby Pedersen, driver who we saw in the DTM season last season, well down the order, battling for top 5 places with 2nd in the championship. Real good improvement we're seeing from Jürgen. New hardware, including Fanatec gear, and I think he's got some Track Racer gear as well. Remember, you can check out Track Racer via the link in the description. But Jürgen, upgrade in hardware is seen, an upgrade in his times. It's not a myth, it can come true. Still a pretty big battle back there, as Mark Arrowsmith hasn't quite lost touch with Jeff Perkins yet. Oh, and look at that big lunge from Jakobsen on the inside of Alex Fall. Brilliant move from Jakobsen to get himself into 10th place. A very daring move that Alex Fall did not see coming. None of us saw that coming. We're seeing a lot of real good moves in this race, a lot of good clean racing as well. There's a bit of argy-bargy, but such is touring cars, especially at the Hungaroring, quite a narrow track, but we're seeing some daring moves from drivers. Great to see. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen has found his way past Jonas Lienberg while we were looking at Jakobsen there. 4th place for him. Brilliant for the Danish driver. And up the inside of Fraser Rostons is Navalov. He's covered off the inside for the exit of turn 1, but he'll now have the outside for turn 2, which is not the ideal line to be on. Rostons has the advantage of the inside, but can Navalov get it round the corner fast enough? He's looking pretty good actually for Navalov in the Alfa Romeo that's very good at rotating around the corners. Keeps the inside for turn 3, makes the position. No, he hasn't quite yet. Fraser Rostons isn't giving up. He'll have the inside for turn 4, which is definitely the advantageous position. But no, it's side by side and Navalov gets it through and into 6th place. Rostons has dropped from 2nd to 7th in this race. I mean, finishing 7th, he'll start 2nd again for race 2. This hasn't been the ideal race for him. That battle for reverse grid pole is still on. Jeff Perkins trying to get up a few more places. He'll work on catching Fraser Rostons, but he has to be careful. He starts battling. Mark Arrowsmith will reel him back in. The battle for 2nd still on between Horn and Deeney. No move just yet, and Deeney's still trying to work his way up towards the yellow Audi. Very, very close under braking there. Actually looks pretty good for the Alfa Romeo driver Ian Deeney to have a go at Lee Horn at some point. Let's take a look further back. Rostons Still in 7th, Jeff Perkis behind, currently holding reverse grid pole. Chase Cam, we love you. big draft from Ian Deeney on Lee Horn. Horn guarding the inside, as this will probably be the final lap of the race, with Ayman Aqeem leading by 3.5 seconds. Deeney tries the undercut coming out of turn 1. He'll have the outside for turn 2, but as we saw with Navalov, he was able to keep it around the outside and make the move. Into turn 2 we go. Deeney broke much later than Lee Horn, but has gone a bit wider. He will still hang on to the inside for turn 3. Is he able to keep the move going? Yes, he is. And I don't think he has quite completed the move yet, as Lee Horn is still alongside. As we come up the hill towards turn 4, Lee Horn tucks back behind. Ian Deeney takes 2nd place here with 1 lap remaining, or not even that. Just about half a lap to go. Further back here, we have got Navalov ahead of Fraser Roston still, trying to catch up with Jonas Lienberg. And Jakobsen has made his way ahead of Mark Arrowsmith, but has run wide coming through turn 5 there. It means that Mark Arrowsmith will close in and he'll drop away from Jeff Perkis, will the Swedish driver. And Arrowsmith cut the curb a lot there, as did Foyle. They'll both get slowdowns for that. Lee Horn still real close to Ian Deeney. About a second is on. Horn needs this position desperately to help his championship. He'll only lose 2 points to Ayman Aqeem, as opposed to 4 if he finishes where he is right now. He'll be conscious of that. He nearly found the inside, but Deeney was able to cover it up. Right up close to the gearbox of the Alfa Romeo. Will he be able to find the inside going into turn 13? He tries finding the inside. He muscles his way through. Very unlike Lee Horn indeed. But he gets through. And we must revert to our leader despite the battle going on between these two. Ayman Aqeem takes another win in the championship here. Win number 8. Ian Deeney versus Lee Horn. They come across the line. I think that was Deeney who took 2nd place from Lee Horn. A brilliant battle to the end there. If you look at those time splits, they were exactly the same. My feeling tells me it was less than 1,000th between them. But on our standings, Ian Deeney takes 2nd place with Lee Horn in 3rd. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen in impressive 4th place for him. Jonas Lienberg takes 5th with Heike Navalov 6th. Fraser Roston's disappointing race for him, dropped from 2nd to 7th throughout that race. But Jeff Perkis will take reverse grid pole and 8th place in the race. Interesting race. We saw a thrilling end as well, but these are our classified results of the race here at Hungaroring for race 1 of round 5. It's Aqeem from Deeney, Horn from Pedersen, Lienberg 5th, Navalov 6th, Roston 7th, with Perkis taking reverse grid pole and 8th. Jakobsen followed by Arrowsmith, Foyle finishing 11th in the end with Ward in 12th. Carbeed in 13th with Plummer in 14th, Janssen 15th, Georgiadis 16th, Gabriel Lopez 17th and Stephen de Grevelia 18th. All cars finished, and all cars finished on the lead lap. Great race we saw there, and while we tick over to the next server, we will be going for a quick break while the server sets for race 2. We'll be back very, very shortly. Don't go away. welcome back to Crest Autosport in alliance with NXTGEN RaceRoom League. This is the 5th round of the Euro TCR Championship, our tour of Europe, and round 5 is here at the Hungaroring in Hungary. What a race one we saw, and we'll just briefly go back through the results of that race now, just to give you a bit of a sit rep. So Ayman Aqeem does what he does, 8th win of the season, takes the win from a commanding lead from Lee Horn and Ian Deeney, who were separated by not much, actually. It wasn't quite 1,000 as they came across the line, but Deeney pipping Lee Horn to the line to take second. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen, a good charge through the field. Let's see where Jürgen excuse me. Jürgen started 9th and he came through to 4th place, so very, very good from Jürgen to finish 4th place there. Jonas Lienberg takes 5th with Navalov in 6th. Rostens went down from 2nd to 7th, so not a great race for him, unfortunately. He suffered with a few slowdowns, is what he was telling me in the Discord channel. Rather unfortunate for him, but see how he can get on, starting 2nd again in race 2. Jeff Perkins will take reverse grid pole at 8th place in that race. Lots of good battling we saw there. One of the most notable moves we saw of the race was Lee Horn on the outside of Fraser Rostens in turn 1, and we also saw Jakobsen take a good move on Alex Foyle going into turn 12. But we're about to grid up for the next race of the night, race 2 of 3. So Ayman Aqeem will be looking for another three-peat, I'm sure. He's done a bit of a Chicago Bulls, I know. 2 three-peats already, 1 in Aragon and 1 last week. See if he can make another. Be starting 8th on the grid. And on a track that's very difficult to overtake, we'll see how he gets on. Bearing in mind, Ayman Aqeem is carrying maximum ballast of 40 kilos as well as doing this. So it is rather an impressive feat. But Jeff Perkins starts on pole with Fraser Rostens in 2nd. Lights are red and we'll get underway now. And a jump start for Gabriel Lopez, as we just briefly saw there. Jeff Perkins gets a very good start off the front row there. And coming down towards turn 1 now, Fraser Rostens guarding the inside from Heike Navalov already. They squabble around the track as we come into the first corner. Fraser Rostens very late on the brakes, but Jeff Perkins is able to hang on to the corner and the position as they come round. Jonas Lienberg with a very good exit on Jürgen Madsby Pedersen. We can see there Pedersen in the black Audi on the inside there, coming around the corner, and Lienberg tucks back in. Got Lee Horn stranded on the outside by the looks of it there, as we see Jakobsen going up against Ayman Aqeem. Everyone's safe and sound so far, except for Gabriel Lopez, who has a stop-and-go penalty, and a bit squirrely on the rear end is Jakobsen there trying to get through the corner side by side with Ayman Aqeem, but Lopez has a drive-through penalty for jumping the start. Jeff Perkins leads the way. Rostens 2nd, so it's an Audi 1-2 at the moment. 3 Audis in the top 8. Good start this from Jeff Perkins. He'll need this. Want this to break away. Fraser Rostens struggling for race pace, it seems. Qualifying pace very good, but race pace just not quite on it as he slips it onto the grass. Gets it very sideways going through turn 11 there. And that will mean that there's a big run potential from Heike Navalov. Chase cam. Oh, and he does slip it up the inside, and in fact, Fraser Rostens let him have it, but he'll have the inside for the next corner, will Fraser, so the move is not quite on for Navalov, or is it? Very good move, in fact, from Navalov. He gets it into 2nd place. Good start from the Swedish driver, and back into 4th place. Up 1 place, Jürgen Madsby Pedersen gets ahead of whom he got ahead of in the last race. Jonas Lienberg in the Hyundai behind him. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen will set his sights on Fraser Rostens instantly now. Our race 1 winner is still in 8th place. Ayman Aqeem hasn't quite made his moves yet. He'll look to the inside of Lee Horn, as will Ian Deeney on Lienberg. Doesn't quite make it. Horn hangs on to 7th at the moment, ahead of Ayman Aqeem. Perkis breaks away, a second clear of Heike and Navalov at the moment. Perkis hasn't got a win to his name in the Crest Autosport League since last season. I believe he won the DTM 92 race at Zolder. As wide there goes Lee Horn. He's on the inside of Ian Deeney, whom he battled with in race 1, and now Ayman Aqeem joins in. It's going to be 3 wide going into turn 4. Come on, lads. Oh, very good. Ayman Aqeem round the outside, and he's got it round the outside and past Lee Horn. Brilliant move from Ayman Aqeem, challenging Lee Horn's best move in turn 1 on race 1. He's just played a queen there. Meanwhile, Roston's losing the gap from Navalov, but Navalov is reeling in Perkis on this lap so far. The Alfa Romeo is really going well on this track, is what we're noticing. Deeney, Aqeem and Navalov all doing very, very well in the Alfa right now. So we come down into turn 12. Guarding the inside is Jürgen Madsby Pedersen versus Jonas Lienberg. These two just can't seem to shake each other off at the moment. Guarding the inside is Pedersen, hangs on ahead of Lienberg. But when he runs wide, broke a little bit too late, or got a nudge, one or the other, couldn't quite tell what it was. He still guards the inside for turn 14. Lienberg just can't find his way past that Renault at the moment. A big nudge at the rear, but that'll only help. That'll only springboard Pedersen off the corner and onto the straight. Chase cam. Don't know why it does that. Have to find out one day. Breaking into turn 1. Not able to get the inside, and they bunch up a little going into turn 1 there. Lee Horn now trying the outside of Ayman Aqeem. Is he able to keep it on the inside as we run down to turn 2 and view it via chase cam? I might just stick with chase cam if he's going to keep doing this, as Ian Deeney runs very wide at turn 2, and that'll let through not only Ayman Aqeem but probably Lee Horn as well. They battle again. Horn hangs on to the outside and invariably the inside for the next corner. And they've got the Renault of Alexander Jakobsen behind, looking and sniffing in the wings. Couldn't quite make it. Deeney hangs on to 7th. Lee Horn can't get above 8th at the moment as Ayman Aqeem has broken away from the pair of them. That will not be what Lee Horn wants. Ayman will now set his sights on Jonas Lienberg. Navalov getting ever closer to Jeff Perkis here. 5 minutes gone in the session so far. He's broken away from the pack, led by Fraser Rostons in 3rd, and he can now, he's given himself a bit of a head start to try and battle and get past Jeff Perkis before the others catch up. That'll be what he's conscious of. As we look to Ayman Aqeem, he's on the inside of Jonas Lienberg already. Lienberg trying to hold the line, giving Ayman Aqeem a little room, and will have the inside for the next corner. Ayman Aqeem powering his way around the corner. That Alfa is just able to do that, and he'll hang on to the inside for turn 14. The Hyundai is not a very special, it's not a specialist car on this track, and he has to surrender the position to the Alfa Romeo as it's just able to rotate around these corners so easy. He's really bunched up between these, but already up to 5th place is our championship leader, Ayman Aqeem, and now he's got Jürgen Madsby Pedersen to contend with. Oh, look at that, Ian Deeney. Oh, he broke way too late, hits the rear of Jonas Lienberg, but that lets through Lee Horn as Ian Deeney had to recover, and Deeney might be under pressure now from Alexander Jakobsen in the number 34 Renault Megane back there, but not able to make the move. Deeney goes wide again on turn 2, and that's able to get Jakobsen up the inside, and now the outside for turn 3. Sticking very close to the wheels of that Alfa Romeo. He'll have the inside for the next corner. I think he's got the better position. To see Navalov run a bit wide going through turn 4 there. Seems to have got away with it, but Jakobsen has gained the position by Ian Deeney. Ayman Aqeem hasn't quite found his way past Pedersen yet. Navalov hasn't quite found his way past Perkis yet. Plenty of time in the race yet. 8 minutes to go. Lee Horn catching up with Lienberg. Lienberg struggling on this track in that Alfa Romeo. He did marvellously well at Paul Ricard 2 weeks ago. We'll look to the inside, Will Lee Horn in DHL Audi RS3. Not able to move just yet. Pedersen is gaining on Fraser Rostons again, so Rostons has broken away from the battle for fourth here, and it might be linking up to the battle for the top three. Don't write off Ayman Aqeem getting that, as we've seen throughout the season. He's able to break through the pack, able to use his pace to get the better of all these drivers. What's brilliant about Ayman Aqeem is about 3 in the morning for him over in Malaysia right now, and he's still finding the time to race with us, which is greatly appreciated by him. There's also his teammate and friend Darren Ivan Rayan, who's not racing this week sadly, but he joined us last week from Singapore. He had Jakobsen on the inside of Lee Horn there, not able to get it alongside him past. Navalov real close to Perkis now. That Audi is going to go a bit, broke very late there, did Navalov, and he nearly got the rear end of Perkis there. That would have been deep trouble for Navalov, but he hangs on to it and he stayed within distance. And you can definitely tell he's looking to get by Perkis very, very quickly here. Lienberg in his pack with Horn, Dini and Jakobsen here. Has lost touch from Ayman Aqeem ahead. Back count Alex Ward in that. He's in 10th, gaining on the pack. Horn not able yet to find the way past Lienberg. Chase down. Horn will take to the outside. Lienberg guard the inside in that, and Lee Horn saw the opportunity. Broke a bit too late and wasn't able to get the car turned in. He will stay on the inside and is now guarding the inside from Jakobsen. Jakobsen tried turning across the door on Lee Horn, but inevitably it's now found him under pressure and in trouble from Ian Dini. Ian Dini likes to move around the outside, but he's not able to do it on the long right-hander at turn 14. End of the next lap. 5 minutes to go. Perkis versus Navalov at the moment, and Navalov will take a big lunge to the inside. And he aborted that. You can tell he aborted that as he put on the brakes even harder and hooked it onto the grass. He ought not to do that, otherwise the pack behind will catch up. And that pack behind will be looking tidy for a win if they can get anywhere near. Particularly this man, Ayman Aqeem, as Jürgen Masvin Pedersen goes a bit wide on turn 2 there, is able to keep it on the racing line and stay ahead in 4th place. 4th place is where he finished in race 1, so be very pleased if we can get another one in race 2. Horn has dropped back a bit from Lienberg, only a couple of car lengths admittedly, but he's under pressure from Ian Dini again. These two have a royal battle in race 1 and this race so far. Both have dropped 1 place from where they started, which they won't be pleased about. Chase Count, we love you. 7th place, Lee Horn. What can he do to get by Lienberg? Lienberg is one of the hardest people to pass in the field. My experience of racing with all or most of these drivers, Lienberg is one of the most difficult to pass, and we can see that Lee Horn is trying everything he can. There's been an instant further back. Yunus Khabib has switched to the pits. I'm not entirely sure why, but he's out of this race and will score no points in this race, unfortunately for him. Hopefully he'll come back for race 3 and he'll be coming from the back of the pack. Navalov might have hit the life cycle of his tyres, as he's actually losing time from Jeff Perkis now. Perkis, who's led lights to so far, looking good for the win if he can keep this up. Just going to see if I can check when he won a race in the 92 or 2020 championship, which was our DTM championship we streamed all the way through the season last season. Jeff Perkis, he had 2 wins in the DTM 92, one of them was at the Nordschleife and one of them was at Zolder. I was correct. And in the 2020s, he had a race win, which was at Salzburgring, race 1. So 3 times a race winner in Crest Autosport RaceRoom Leagues. Similar format to this, where we had 2 smaller races for race 1 and 2, and then a longer race for race 3. But in the DTN Championship, it was 2 10-minute races and a 30-minute race, and this one is 2 15s and a 25. We're actually getting 5 minutes more on the track in this series, drivers. On board with Lee Horn, and he still can't find his way past Lienberg. Likewise, Chase Cam Iadini making his way past Lee Horn. Drop back a little bit from the tail. A slow down penalty for Ayman Aqeem, but it's not going to stop him trying to make a move on Jürgen Matthew Pedersen here. Find his way past. Still has to serve a slow down penalty, seemingly, but gets himself into 4th place. Controversially, you've got to admit, serving a slowdown was overtaken, and there was a little bit of contact involved as well, but he's made the move. Perkis has broke away from Navalov by a couple of tenths again, and has the lead to over a second yet again from Navalov. Jeff Perkis will come on to his final lap as race leader. He will end the three-peat repeat for Ayman Aqeem as things stand. Real close to Lienberg again. We'll keep an eye on these as well. Want to be disappointed he didn't get higher than this, particularly seeing Ayman Aqeem disappear off and get higher and higher up. Horn is trying everything, can't quite make it work at the moment. Rostons with a better race, started 2nd, finished 3rd. In the previous race he started 2nd, finished 7th, so certainly an improvement. Navalov is reeling in Jack Perkis a little bit. If he can get a good lap here and catch up, he might be able to try a do or die move in the final few corners of this race. Just under a second, it's going to be cutting it fine. Jeff Perkis will be trying desperately to keep all 4s on the track. There's the gap we can see from Navalov. Perkis moves to the inside to break the slipstream, which isn't all that effective on that straight. All he needs to do is just drive in a straight line, really. And Jeff Perkis, with 2 corners to go, could win his first win of the season. The first time for as long as I can remember that he's won a WTCR race. Comes around the final corner. And his 4th win in Crest Autosport Leagues. God knows how many in NXTGEN racing, but he comes across the line to win race 2 here at the Hungaroring. From lights to flag, a brilliant win for him. Navalov takes 2nd with Fraser Rostons 3rd place for him. He'll be happier with that result. Ayman Aqeem takes 4th, a good charge through from 8th to finish there. Jürgen Matthew Pedersen started where he finished 5th place. Good consistent 9 for him. Lee Horn takes 6th. He managed to get past Jonas Lienberg in the end to take 6th from Lienberg in 7th. Iadini takes 8th. Alex Ward took 9th with Alexander Jakobsen in 10th. A good comeback from Alex Ward, in fact, getting himself up a few places from where he started. Ollie Jansen takes 11th. Georgiadis back there in 12th with Alex Full, a disappointing race for him. 13th with Roy Plummer in 14th. And Steven de Gravelia. He's reset to the pits. Someone has been given a penalty, and it is Alex Foyle. So the results are slightly different to what I just read out. But Perkis takes the win from Navalov in 2nd and Rostons in 3rd. Championship leader Aqeem takes 4th. Reverse grid pole will go to Mark Arrowsmith, however. 15th for him means he starts on the front slot of the grid in race 3 with Steven de Gravelia alongside him. We are going to go for a quick break now while we set up for race 3. Thank you for watching so far. We'll be back very shortly with race 3. Well, welcome back to Hungaroring for the Crest Autosport RaceRoom Leagues in alliance with NXTGEN Racing. We're here for the Euro TCR round 5 of the Hungaroring. Round 5 out of 12 in this championship. And this championship sponsored and partnered with lovely stickers, Track Racer, 603 Autosport, Powermax Racing, Fastar and Joyce Design. Tonight is the Hungaroring, as we mentioned, 2.7 miles or 4.3 kilometres, if that's your measurement, in the heart of Hungary. Only costs £4.29 to purchase this track from RaceRoom, 14 turns, 8 to the right and 6 to the left. A very historic circuit where we have seen many heartbreaks, particularly Damon Hill leading the race in his underpowered Arrows in the 97 Formula 1 Grand Prix, eventually surrendering the win to Jacques Villeneuve. We've also seen many great touring car races here and many great touring car drivers from around this area. Norbert Michelitz, who is now a world touring car champion as of 2019. This season consists of 12 rounds. We're in round number 5 at the moment. We started off nearly a month ago at Portimao, and we went into Aragon for round 2. The French round of Paul Ricard for round 3. Imola was round 4 last week. This week we're at the Hungaroring. And next week we'll be in Czechia. It will either be the Autodrome Moss circuit or the Autodrome Brno circuit. We're going to leave it up to drivers' vote to choose that one. After next week, just 2 weeks from today, it'll be a week off. But then we'll be back in July for the second half of the season, starting off at Silverstone Grand Prix circuit 2 days before my birthday, which is great. Spa-Francorchamps is the Belgian round of round 8. Round 9 is Zandvoort. Round 10 is Anderstorp, aka the Scandinavian Raceway. Round 11 is the Red Bull Ring. And round 12 is the Hockenheim Ring. You can still get involved in this series. All you have to do is go to crestautosport.com to enter the series. You can also visit the Crest Autosport RaceRoom League's Facebook group or NXTGEN RaceRoom group to get involved in the action. These are the cars we're seeing on offer today in the TCR category, all 4 TC categories on RaceRoom: 2018, 2019, 2020 and the TC Cup category, which consists of the Lada Vesta and the Opel Astra. But the other 3 categories contain some or all of the cars listed here, including the Audi RS3, the Alfa Romeo Giulietta, the Honda Civic, the Lincoln Co 03, the Renault Megane RS, the Volkswagen Golf GTI, the Hyundai i30N, the Peugeot 308 and the Cupra TCR. We have had 2 races so far, both 15 minutes long. This race coming up soon, race 3, is 25 minutes in length, and the grid will be formed by the results of race 2, which we'll go through very, very shortly. So we rejoin the live action here. 18 drivers are going to take to the track for the final race of the night. So, how will the ballast look coming into this? Now, as we mentioned at the beginning of the night, the ballast will reset for this race, and it will be based on the qualifying results from earlier on in the night, which are these. Ayman Aqeem, again, will have to carry 40 kilos of ballast on his car, which he's used to so far tonight and for much of the season. Fraser Rostons will have to carry 36 kilos of ballast, more than that he was carrying earlier, which was 0. So that'll have a bit of an impact on him. Ian Deeney will carry 32 kilos, with Lee Horn carrying 28 kilos. 24 kilos carried by Jonas Lienberg, 20 kilos carried by Alexander Jakobsen, 16 kilos carried by Heike Navalov, 12 kilos carried by Jack Purkis, 8 kilos carried by Jürgen Madsby Pedersen, and 4 kilos carried by Alexander Foyle. So that is how the ballast will be set for this race. Meanwhile, the grid will be formed by the results of race 2, which we'll get to very shortly. These were the results from race 2, and it's a reverse of the top 15. So Mark Arrowsmith will be on pole position, with Stephen de Grevelier starting alongside him. Roy Plum will start 3rd with Anastasios Georgiadis in 4th. Ollie Hansen will start 5th with Alexander Jakobsen 6th. Alex Ward 7th with Ian Deeney 8th. Lindberg will start 9th with Lee Horn starting 10th. 11th will start Jürgen Madsby Pedersen with race 1 winner Ayman Aqeem starting 12th. 13th will start Fraser Rostons with Heike Navalov starting 14th. 15th will start Jeff Purkis. back down to 16th now, and Gabriel Lopez will start there. Alex Foyle will start 17th, and Jonas Lienberg will start 18th at the back due to his DNF in race 2. Drivers getting a little bit of practice before things get underway. We are missing 2 drivers from the server at the moment. It's well, it's going to detriment those drivers' championships if they don't make it. Trying to suss out who those drivers are by my sight. We are missing Jonas Lienberg. Not quite sure who else we're missing, so some unlucky soul has sadly missed out. But we're about to get underway, and I'm sure race 3 is going to be pretty good here at Hungaroring. Just a little more housekeeping before we get underway. Do check out the descriptions for our sponsors and their affiliate links. You can check out lovely stickers products via the link in our description. You can also get 10% off any of their stickers, which can go on your sim racing wheel or rim or rig for a 10% discount if you use the code CRESTLS10 at lovelystickers.com. You can also get Track Racer products 5% off if you use the code CREST. It's just CREST on its own. To get 5% off any sim racer product such as rigs, monitor stands and the like, to take your sim racing to the next level. And as mentioned just a few moments ago, you can still get involved in this league if you wish to. All you need is RaceRoom, which is free by the way. You need a wheel and pedals, or you can use a controller if that's your forte. And you need the game, of course, and you need to get involved in the league via CrestAutosport.com, or you can visit Crest Autosport RaceRoom League's Facebook group, as well as the NXTGEN Racing Facebook group. It was Ayman Aqeem we were missing. He has made it in, thankfully, but cutting it fine, you've got to admit. But he is in the server, and he'll be taken to the grid for race 3. Just seeing the comment on Facebook, Faris Zach, as I just mentioned, if you have RaceRoom, you can get involved in these leagues. You won't be able to race in this race just yet because the server's just closed because it's gone into the race, but if you check out Crest Autosport RaceRoom Leagues on Facebook, it's a Facebook group, you can get involved in the races that way. You can check out the links in the description to find that group. You can alternatively visit CrestAutosport.com also to find out more about our leagues, including this one. So we're about to get underway for race 3 of the night. A 25-minute race awaits us in the Euro TCR Crest Autosport Racing Leagues in affiliation with NXTGEN Racing. My name is Alex Everett, your commentator tonight. We're about to get underway with some more touring car action at the Hungaroring. We are just waiting for a few drivers to grid up. We'll be underway for this 25-minute thriller. We are still waiting on Mark Arrowsmith to grid up, which he has. We're on the grid. Arrowsmith is on pole position with Stephen de Gravelia second position on the grid. The lights are red. And away we go. A slow start, I think, for Mark Arrowsmith as the Lincoln Co. behind of Roy Plummer really gains. But it's an even worse start for Stephen de Gravelia in the Renault here. We come down towards turn 1. Mark Arrowsmith will lead going through turn 1 as long as he can get the braking just right. Roy Plummer tries to find the inside, and there's contact between the two Renaults of de Gravelia and Jakobsen. But through goes Georgiadis on the pair of them. And Stephen de Gravelia went very wide and got a slow down penalty. And on the outside of the two of them in the Alfa Romeo, there is Ian Deeney, and the Renault still coming together. And there's contact and a spin there from de Gravelia. And he's taken around by the other Renault, and that was Jakobsen who also took him round. But he'll get away And back into the lead goes Roy Plummer. He managed to jump his way past Mark Arrowsmith while we were looking away there. And through turn 4 we go now. Roy Plummer leads this race from Arrowsmith, from Georgiadis, and Ian Deeney with a lightning start to get himself up a few places to 4th position. Oh, and back there, that's Lienberg trying to get alongside Alex Ward fairly quickly. Fairly early on. He'll go side by side through the chicane. Far from ideal corner to go side by side, but Alex Ward had to surrender the position as Lienberg had a much better line and a much better run through the corner. Go with the heli shot just because it's a little bit easier. Ah no, he also switches to chase cam. That's what RaceRoom does to us. Lee Horn on the inside of Ayman Aqeem there, and I think he got through on him as Alex Ward pulls over to the inside to serve his slowdown penalty, so that'll drop it down a few places. Lee Horn alongside Ayman Aqeem here. Aqeem is already up to 8th place from starting 12th on the grid. It's him versus Lee Horn here, and also ahead that's Lienberg versus Ollie Janssen. Lee Horn is trying to battle with his championship rival, one of them anyway. He's got the other one ahead of him in Jonas Lienberg. Alex Vaughn continually warned for track limits abuse. He's down in 12th, no, just dropped 13th with Fraser Roston's getting by him. But at the end of lap 1, Roy Plummer leads the race from Mark Arrowsmith, who's dropped 1 place, and Ian Deeney, who was on the podium in race 1, is into 3rd place already. And look at that, Lee Horn defending hard ahead of Ayman Aqeem as we come into turn 1. Aqeem was much later on the brakes, and he might be able to have the inside for the next corner up turn 2. Good battling back there between Navalov, Rostons and Foyle as well. But let's look to Ayman Aqeem. The man on a mission is battling for 7th place with one of his championship rivals, Lee Horn, and through he goes. Back towards the front. Arrowsmith still ahead of Ian Deeney. Roy Plummer broken away a little bit. Deeney will try to find the inside of the Honda, but can't quite make it at turn 5. Still looking, can't quite make it. Oh, real close to the rear of Ayman Aqeem. He's got Jürgen Madsby Pedersen behind him as well. Alex Ward with the initial good start in this race has dropped a few places to 10th. Race 2 winner Jeff Perkins up a few places to 11th. Good start for him in this race. Jeff Perkins didn't qualify well, therefore he hasn't got much ballast on his car compared to the drivers around him, so he's able to rotate the car around a lot better than the other drivers can around him. Deeney's still real close to Mark Arrowsmith. And back there we've got Ayman Aqeem getting by Ollie Janssen, and Ayman Aqeem is just picking off drivers one by one so well here on a track that's very difficult to overtake on, as we see Georgiadis taking the rear of Jonas Lienberg, but Lienberg's able to keep it going. Lienberg into 4th place now. Aqeem trying to hook it on the curb to keep it tight on the inside. Doing that will be detrimental to his tyres, but I don't think he cares. He's got the leader in his sights of Roy Plummer, who leads another lap here at Hungaroring. Mark Arrowsmith has no answer at the moment, but is holding off Ian Deeney at the moment. This is Ayman Aqeem going for a move, and that is Lee Horn also going for a move. He had to back out of it. He broke a little bit too late behind Ollie Janssen, but he's still battling with Jürgen Madsby Pedersen there as we come down towards turn 2. Oh, Georgiadis going very wide there. Still going, and that'll find Ayman Aqeem through, alongside at least. And I think Ayman Aqeem has made his way through. Horn is still battling with the Renault of Pedersen, but has got through. Deeney is trying to get by. Mark Arrowsmith has the inside for the next corner, but has to back out of it. Bit of a nudge up the rear, but nothing to threaten Arrowsmith's momentum through the corner. And he's now got Lienberg behind to contend with. And Ayman Aqeem catching up with them. He's already in the top 5 early on in this race, not even 5 minutes gone. He's got the leader in his sights. Roy Plummer was alongside Mark Arrowsmith there. And Arrowsmith is on the outside with Ian Deeney on his inside, but Arrowsmith might be able to hang on to the inside for this next corner, and Roy Plummer just turns across on Arrowsmith. Arrowsmith bravely hangs on to it, try the inside on a slingshot move for the next corner, and Ian Deeney spins it. Deeney has spun it. Into the wall he goes, and he's able to keep it going just about. But look who else is coming for the lead now. It's Ayman Aqeem on the inside of Mark Arrowsmith. He makes it through. Arrowsmith will try again, not giving up on that second place spot. Oh, what a big lunge up the inside. It's very argy-bargy between these drivers, but that is going to surrender the lead to Ayman Aqeem, who's jumped up 3 places, or 4 places even, on the last few corners or so, and Aaron Smith has dropped his way down to 5th place by just being a little bit too aggressive in response to the other drivers. Georgiades, who had a scruffy start to the lap, is up to 4th now. Lienberg up to 3rd, and Dini is unfortunately down to 9th. It all Constantinaed up in turn 11. Lienberg trying the inside of Roy Plummer. Down to turn 2, and Ayman Aqeem from 12th grid. Yeah, 12th on the grid. Oh, look at all this gaggle of cars coming through turn 2 and 3 here. Oh, and that's Ole Janssen on the inside of Georgiades, keeping Pedersen on the outside and Horn on the outside. Horn is battling with Dini back there as well. Coming through turn 3 they go. It was 3 wide, now it isn't. Dini makes it through past Lee Horn and Alex Ward there. And on the outside of Alex Ward there is Alex Ball, and Jeff Perkins is trying the inside of Alex Ward. Nudges it wide and gets the inside, does Jeff Perkins. And we'll have the inside for the chicane. I can't get on Jeff Perkins' car. Still has the outside. Switching to the wrong car. I hate RaceRoom's interface. Not giving it much advertisement here, seeing as I'm streaming it, but hey ho. Still behind Ian Dini there, battling for 8th place. It's been very argy-bargy stuff on this last lap or so. Lienberg gaining back on Aaron Smith, who's back into 2nd place. Roy Plummer has dropped down a little bit for some reason or another. We missed that watching the other battling. Got Perkins back there alongside Alex Boyle. We've got Lee Horn battling with Ian Dini again. Horn finds the inside for turn 14 on the better line, but Dini might have himself the slipstream down the straight here. As we see Horn squabble for position, he managed to get it ahead of Dini. He looks to the inside of Pedersen, not able to brake late enough. Oh, and look at that, it's a big lunge from Navalov. And he hasn't, well, it looked like he completed the move, but with the nature of turn 1, he's lost more positions than he's gained. He drops down, he just about avoided other drivers, which was thankful on his part. Oh, 3 wide going into turn here. That's Rostens on the inside, Jakobsen on the outside, and in the middle there is Navalov. Fraser Rostens might be able to cling on 2 here. He hasn't, he tucks back in behind Navalov. Back to the front here for 2nd place. Aaron Smith still in that podium spot, guarding off from Jonas Lienberg. We've also got Lee Horn here, still behind Jürgen Madsby Pedersen. Roy Plummer, credit to him, hanging on well. He dropped down on the last lap, but still in 5th for the moment. Racing from these drivers so far. We saw it all light up about a lap and a half ago, and it might light up at any moment as these drivers are still fairly close to one another. This is Ole Janssen on the inside of Roy Plummer. To the inside he goes. Plummer gives room this time, but will stay alongside. A bit of door-to-door contact. Oh, and still more. Plummer is not finding it easy to get away from the doors of other drivers on this track at the moment. One of them being Aaron Smith and another being Ole Janssen. Janssen will feel hard done by that. Ian Dini finds the inside of Lee Horn, and Ward trying to sneak back up the inside. Oh, you could say he was cut off there by Lee Horn, and he lost a lot of momentum. And he's got under pressure now from Jeff Perkins in the Audi to our left there, but keeps the position for the time being. Aaron Smith is back into 3rd place. Georgiades hunting him down in 4th place there. Aaron Smith continues in 3rd. The 2 links battle of Roy Plummer and Ole Janssen still, and behind them is Pedersen versus Dini. So first we look to Plummer on the inside of Janssen. Oh, just about hangs onto it through a little bit of contact admittedly, but Janssen might be able to complete the move here with the better line and position. Yes, he does. Into 5th place goes Ole Janssen. Now Pedersen has to find his way past Roy Plummer, who's proven very difficult to pass at the moment for these drivers. And he has also got a guard off from Ian Dini and Lee Horn, whom he's been battling with most of the night. So looking in the chicane there, couldn't quite make it work there. Well, tried to find the inside for the next corner, but didn't quite happen for him. He's looking everywhere, desperately trying to get by before Janssen and the pack ahead of him stretches away. Jonas Lienberg has stretched away from Mark Aerosmith. He can focus on either maintaining second place or trying to catch up with Ayman Aqeem with 13.5 minutes to go. This is Dini on the outside of Jürgen Madsby Pedersen. Pedersen hangs on to it. Dini's swinging out wide to try and get a late entry into the corner of turn 13. And Roy Plummer bunched up Pedersen a little bit there. I'm not sure why, but that has put Dini past through momentum. Pedersen down to 8th position. A crocodile of cars coming around turn 14 there. And the battling is not yet done. Still, we're going to see plenty as we see Alex Ford now alongside Alex Ward. Couldn't quite keep it alongside. Lee Horn takes to the inside. Oh, and Jürgen Madsby Pedersen. Dini can't catch a break in this race, and Pedersen has made the mistake and outbroke himself and put Ian Dini offline and into the wall. But the race goes on. Alex Fawler's gained a fair few positions on the last few laps. He runs very wide there at turn 2, and that allows Lee Horn back into 7th place. Alex Ward battling with him there. That's 8th place he's battling for. Stays in 9th for the time being. Now Ian Dini dropped off a few places there, but it's not over. He's on the back of this pack, so he'd be able to catch up. Slow down penalty for Ian Dini will not help. Oh, and Lee Horn got a very good run on Roy Plummer there. Not able to make a move in the chicane though, unfortunately for him. Good battle for third going on here as well. Aerosmith versus Georgiadis. Georgiadis, we haven't seen much of him this season, but he's really getting stuck in and trying to get himself a top 3 here, which, if I have to be brutally honest, we haven't seen him finish anywhere near that position so far. He's 11th in the championship, so you know, through that, finishing all races, he's finished in the top 10 only once this season. It was race 3 at Imola. But let's get back with Lee Horn there as he's found his way past Roy Plummer. Oh, and it looks very, very tentative by Jeff Perkins there going into the turn 12 on the inside of Alex Ford there. Couldn't quite make it. Foyle just about guided it off, and now Alex Ward trying to squeeze up the inside of Jeff Perkins. Great move from Alex Ward there. Opportunistic move, and now he has a lunge for Alex Foyle on the outside. Couldn't quite make it. Oh, and that's Dini versus Navalov there. The teammates getting their elbows out on each other, and that drops Navalov down a position back behind Jürgen Madsby Pedersen on his comeback after his, well, I'll say it as it is, screw up at the beginning of the lap. Lee Horn breaks away in 6th place there, but he's got some stretch to catch up with the drivers ahead. That on the inside of Roy Plummer, that on the inside of Alex Foyle was Roy Plummer, guarding off 7th place at the moment. Oh, Plummer goes a bit wide there at turn 2. The two Lincoln co-drivers not giving each other an inch of room. Foyle round the outside of turn 3 here. He might have completed it. He'll have the better line for the next corner. Yes, he's in front. But Lee Horn is stretching away in a big rush to try and get back up towards the front. And that's Alex Ward getting very squirrely back there. He'll surrender the position to Jeff Perkins and maybe even Ian Dini. Trying to keep it tight on the apex and guard off Ian Dini at the same time. He drops a place to Jeff Perkins. Perkins now has to find his way past Roy Plummer. Oh, and wide there goes Alex Foyle. That will not compromise him too much, but he's pushing it to the absolute limit. Perkins right up on the gearbox of that Lincoln Co there. He's also got Alex Ward checking out his. It's the view from Jeff Perkins as he looks to the inside, not able to brake late enough. Plummer stays ahead for the time being. Ian Dini had a good run coming out of 12th there, but look at Alex Ward try to the inside of Jeff Perkins. Just only had his nose alongside, which probably wasn't enough, and it wasn't. He stays behind. He's got a guard off from Ian Dini as well. Jeff Perkins trying the inside, an equally desperate move like what Alex Ward did on him, but he makes it through. Roy Plummer surrendered that move, moving it to the more to the outside, and Perkins is into 8th place. Ward flashing his lights frantically at Roy Plummer in front to say, get a move on, or I'm coming for you. Roy Plummer very late on the brakes there, trying the outside of Jeff Perkis. And Alex Ward trying the undercut. Still alongside, but not on the optimal line for overtaking on this corner. Having said that, we've seen other drivers overtake on this corner, but Roy Plummer has hung Alex Ward out to dry, and that's allowed Ian Deeney to sneak up on the inside. We'll have the outside for turn 3 here. He'll have to have a good run out of the corner up to turn 4 here. Deeney has the inside for turn 4 and will take the position. Alex Ward has dropped a few places like a domino at the moment. This last lap or so, Lee Horn has found himself into 5th place, so his charge for the top 3 is on. He's got it in sight. Mark Arrowsmith is back into the top 3. The sights of Lienberg and Aqeem are gone. And now he is trying to defend valiantly for this number 3 spot. Just responding to Petter Nystrom in the comments here, it is one of the most intense races of the season so far. It's been very argy-bargy stuff, as we saw a Lincoln going wide there. That was Roy Plummer, I believe. Arrowsmith hanging on here. Oh, and Lee Horn hooked the rear of Ollie Janssen there, and Janssen did very well to hang on to it. The 111 machine belonged to Andy Creo. That's my favourite car in the WTCR fleet. But you've also got Alex Stasios Georgiadis trying his hands on the top 3 here. He was 3rd just a few laps ago, and it's still on for him. Coming down the front straight here. Arrowsmith leads the battle for 3rd. Lee Horn always pokes his nose out coming down the front straight there, just to sort of spook drivers, I think, to make them think he's going for an overtake. I don't think I've seen him go for an overtake yet on the inside on turn 1. He overtook Fraser Rostons in race 1. On the outside though, as Arrowsmith goes very wide there. Maybe the tyres are starting to wear off for him. We are near 20 minutes through the race. 18 minutes gone by exactly. Crunch time for the tyres, crunch time for the drivers to try and get what position they can out of this race now. For Mark Arrowsmith, it's 3rd, and equally the same position for the drivers behind us. Janssen goes wide at turn 5. That allows Lee Horn up the inside, and coming up to the chicane, he'll have the better line. Who will come through the chicane? In the first position of the 2, and Georgiadis trying to get stuck in as well. He also looked to the inside of Ollie Janssen, but wasn't able to make it. But Lee Horn gets himself into 4th place and sets his sights on that top 3 spot. He's 3rd in the championship counting tonight, behind Lienberg and Aqeem. Admittedly, he'll finish this race behind them, but it's still good championship points that might help further down the line. Got a good battle between Jakobsen, Rostons and Plummer. Plummer dropped all the way to 13th at the moment, but he has really got his elbows out in this race and made it entertaining for us, as Rostons will look to the inside coming into turn 12. But in fact it's Jakobsen who tried to get up the outside of him, pushes Plummer wide, and it actually allowed Rostons through. So easy pickings for Rostons in 13th place there, struggling with the weight as we thought he would. He's been running with 0 kilos for much of the night, and now he's got 36 kilos on as a result of qualifying 2nd. He seems to be struggling in that Audi on this track with weight. Let's get back with that battle for 3rd place. Lee Horn gaining on Mark Arrowsmith, who's been brilliant in this race, you've got to say. Keeping himself in that top 3. Always try and get past. When Arrowsmith didn't have a very good run coming off turn 2 there, but Horn's not able to get by just yet. He's got to make that Honda as wide as he can, will Arrowsmith. His name not to be confused with the rock band. Oh, as he runs a bit wide at turn 5. Oh, he's just about hung on to that. And stays in 3rd for the time being, but Lee Horn will find and look for any gap and will go for it, as most drivers do at the top end of the field here. Arrowsmith really in the thick of it here. And I must say, of all the drivers that have started at this end of the field, Arrowsmith has been one of the standouts, as well as Georgiadis, only a few places down. been a pretty good comeback in this race from Alex Foyle as well. Up to 7th place, a disappointing race 2. I think he started 16th position. 17th, one of them. And he's up to 7th, so pretty good race from him. Jansen hasn't got a retort to Lehorn at the moment. He can't quite catch up with the 2 ahead of him, and he's protecting his position from Anastasios Georgiadis behind. Georgiadis, who, as we said, has only finished in the top 10 once this season, and he's 6th at the moment. He has got a top 10 in the championship to think about, with Yunus Karbi DNF'd in the previous race and did not turn up to this race, which means that Georgiadis could take 10th place after tonight's race. And Lehorn found his way past Mark Arrowsmith there, still alongside. Oh, and Arrowsmith went a little bit wide going into the corner there, but has kept 3rd place from the Audi driver. He can't quite find his way past the Honda driver of Arrowsmith, hanging on valiantly at the moment. And there are a few cars building up behind this battle here. We're in the last 3 minutes of this race where it might hotten up between all of them. Georgiadis even looking to get by Jansen, rather sharpish. Jeff Perkis started 15th up to 8th. Pretty good race from him. Oh, Georgiadis going a little bit wide there. He's got Foyle to guard off from. He's lost the pack a bit. He's lost ground from Jansen, and he's under pressure from 2 drivers who are remarkably quick in Alex Foyle, who won many DTM races last season, as did Jeff Perkis. Georgiadis goes sideways. Alex Foyle shifted him sideways. There was a little bit of contact between Foyle and Perkis, but Foyle keeps himself in that position, as he probably would have had to have surrendered it if he had got past. Rules are of this league and many other RaceRoom leagues are that if you hit someone to gain a position, you must give that place back or risk getting a penalty where it reverses the positions, or an even greater penalty that will be a greater detriment to your race. This is the final lap, presumably, or it'll be close, but Ayman Aqeem might be on his final lap here, and it's been a remarkable day yet again for him. Not quite a three-peat like last week, but Lienberg has also driven a good race tonight. 2nd place for him. Arrowsmith might be on for his first podium of the season, with potentially 1 lap to go. Guarding off from Lehorn, and back here we have got Foyle on the inside of Georgiadis. He makes it through into 6th place. He'll get a slow down penalty for that, which he might be able to serve under braking. Otherwise, Georgiadis might be able to get that position back from him. It's battle for 3rd. Let's keep a keen eye on that as well. Nothing to report on just yet. We've still got to decide our driver of the day. I've got an inkling who it might be. If you want to tell us at the last minute who you think our driver of the day should be, pop it in the comments of wherever you're watching. I think Stephen de Gravelia has had a retirement from this race. No, he's in the pits, so we might be serving a drive-through penalty. But this man is in a league of his own at the moment. Let's just keep an eye on the standings, make sure nobody makes a surprise overtake. And in fact, it might end up being 1 more lap. Something's happened to Mark Arrowsmith. He's run wide at turn 12. Are you joking? Arrowsmith will start another. Ayman will start another lap, and there'll be 1 to go. But something's happened to Mark Arrowsmith. We can't get a replay, so we can't even see it. I wonder if he's had a puncture or something like that. He resets to the pits, race over. Oh, what was looking so good for him. And you know what? It's not pity, it really isn't. But I genuinely think Mark Arrowsmith has driven brilliant today. He had a shot at 3rd there. It didn't quite work out. But I'm going to give him driver of the day anyway, because I thought he was superb today. Honourable mentions go to Ayman Aqeem, of course, and Jeff Perkis as well. He's driven a good night. But I'm going to give it to Arrowsmith tonight. Perkis battling with Dini. He couldn't quite get past Georgiadis, and he might have lost out to the Alpha here. He has. He drops to 8th position. Oh, Georgiadis holding up Dini, which allows Perkis back alongside Dini. Dini has the inside for the long right-hander here, and wide there goes Alex Foyle. What's happened to Alex Foyle? He might have a puncture as well. Something's happened to him. He comes to us. No. Or maybe he's letting someone by. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Alex Foyle there. He's still off the track. I think it might be a puncture. But we will revert to this man here. What a night it's been yet again. Extends his championship lead furthermore. He'd done so in all 3 races from his rivals Lienberg and Lee Horn. And he'll come through to take his 9th win of the season. Ayman Aqeem wins race 3 here at Hungaroring. Jonas Lienberg, he's just jumped up another level in this season. 2nd for him, brilliant. And Lee Horn 3rd place, he'd be pleased with that, with the amount of battling he had to do in that race. 4th place for Ollie Anthony, he fought real hard for that. And Georgiadis, his best result of the season, a top 5. He'll be well chuffed with that. Ian Dini, a good night for him, pretty good night for him. 6th place. Jeff Perkis, an honourable mention for driver of the day, 7th for him. Jürgen Masby Pedersen takes 8th place, another strong consistent night for him, with Navalov in 9th position. Alex Ward takes and rounds off the top 10. Fraser Roston's a struggle in race 2 there, like what he had in race 1. But he takes 11th, and these are your classified standings. We'll continue where we were. Jakobsen 12th with Plummer 13th. Lopez got 14th with de Gravelia coming in the pits in the end 15th. DNF for Alex Foyle and Mark Arrowsmith for what was presumably punctures. But Ayman Aqeem, Lienberg and Horn are your top 3 in this race. And what a night of racing we have seen tonight. Well, yeah, what a night of racing we've seen. That has been round 5 here at the Hungaroring. Another dominant night for Ayman Aqeem. Not as dominant as last week, but still pretty good with another 2 wins under his belt. A driver of the day performance to Mark Arrowsmith as well, and a new race winner in Jeff Perkis tonight as well. This has been the Crest Autosport RaceRoom Leagues in alliance with NXTGEN Racing. This was round 5 at the Hungaroring, and we'll see you next time, which will be our Czech round. Round 6 of the championship will be at either the Autodrome Moss Circuit or Autodrome Brno. But tune in a week from today to catch that round live yet again on all these channels. Thank you for watching if you've been watching on YouTube, Twitch or Facebook. Do give us a like and a subscribe wherever you are watching. We'll see you next time. Autodrome Moss or Autodrome Brno. Good night.